What's up, guys? I'm coming at you today with a movie review for The Perfect Guy. This will be my first official movie review. Um, it's directed by David M. Rosenthal and it's written by Tiger Williams. The lead characters are Leah, Dave, and Carter. The characters are played by Sanaa Lathan, Morris Chestnut, and Michael Eli. Of course, it starts off like two two people in a good relationship, blah blah blah. Then it's a party happens, and it kind of changes the events of the relationship, and from there it kind of upsets Leah, and they end up breaking up. And so, after a couple of months of her being single or whatever, she eventually ends up at a bar where she's supposed to be meeting one of her best friends, but her best friend cancels on her and this guy starts hitting on her. And then out of nowhere, this guy comes and basically saves her. And from there, she kind of says that she's in his debt or whatever. And so they have drinks that night, and she kind of wants to play it simple, but all at the same time, she still likes him. So as the movie progresses, she she likes him more and more, and it's like the way the way she perceives him is exactly what he wants her to, you know, get from what he's given. Because later on down the road, there's another change in events, and she didn't see that coming at all. And it's not, you know, something small that she could handle. And so she ends up breaking up with him. And of course, that's not going to go over well with somebody that's, you know, quote unquote, in love with you, as he put it. And eventually, he gets obsessed with her. He's following her, calling her on cell, at work, house phone. Um, she, she gets her assistant to change her cell phone numbers, and eventually, she talked with her best friends, and they tell her to go to the police. So she goes to the police. The detective basically tells her there's nothing she can do. Like, there's nothing that really can happen because he haven't threatened her. All he's been doing is like stalking her. There's no, he said it would be hard to get a case for stalking. But later on down the road, he leaves like a flower and a note on her car. The note is basically a threat. And so she goes back to the detective and she files a restraining order. The restraining order, like the detective said, didn't make anything better. It actually made everything worse because he still basically wanted to be with her. And the restraining order just made it feel like he had no chance. And so her relationship with Carter, um, which is Michael Eli, it is the dynamic is way it becomes way worse. And then after that, not only after the restraining order, she ends up kind of like getting back with Dave, which is Morris Chestnut, and it's like piling on top of each other, making it worse because you already know he's obsessed with you. He's been stalking you, so of course, if you file a restraining order, that's kind of like throwing it off and making it worse. And then you start back dating Dave, which also throws another pile of bricks on top of a load that he's already can't bear. And she's kind of acting like oblivious to the situation or whatever. And then one night she's out on a date with Dave, and Carter just so happens to be in the same restaurant at the bar. So Dave and Carter have a talk slash altercation. Dave thinks he's done something good, but you know you can't really do something good in a situation like that because it made it worse for not only her but himself. And so that leads to Carter doing something that basically jeopardizes her job. It's very major. It's very major in the film because it it throws her off because she ends up getting suspended from her job. And that's something that she's used to doing on a daily basis. And so she's like, there's nothing for her to do. And so she's basically having more time with Dave. But then one night, Dave is out of town on a business meeting, basically. And he has a accident. She was staying up waiting for him or whatever. She fell asleep. Knock on the door. Police. Dave's been in an accident. She basically, falls out crying. The detective is like holding her. And from that point on, that's like the let's say like a almost a climax, but it's like a semi-climax because from that point on, the energy of the movie changes because the night after the funeral, one night she come home and there's the watch that she gave Dave, and it's like he's haunting me. She calls the police. They're like, okay, well, there's nothing we can do about that because he didn't have a watch on at the scene of the accident. And she's like, but I just gave this watch to him. He hasn't taken it off. It wasn't here, and the police are like, well, there's nothing we can do about it. There's no forced entry. It's just a watch. All we can do is like run it through to see if there's any blood on it, which clearly it comes up, no blood, no nothing, because Carter is like a very, very smart guy. He's an IT guy, so he's tech savvy and he's business savvy. He's like his IQ is like way up there, and so he knows what he's doing, and he's playing with her like throughout the whole movie. Um, After that, she feels like, well, you know, the police haven't really done anything for me. Like, they can't do anything for me. And then, she's upset. She's talking to the detective. Eventually, the detective tells her a story. The detective tells her a story at the coffee shop across the street from the police station. He basically tells her how to handle the situation without telling her how to handle the situation. And so from that point on, she's no longer, she doesn't feel defenseless. She's no longer the victim. She's the one, she's trying to be her own hero. Basically, she's trying to, change the situation. So she does everything in her power, to get him to do what needs to be done. And then she basically handles up, on her business or whatever. And once she handles up on her business, the movie is basically over with. So in the end, Leah went from damsel in distress to her own hero. And Carter went from Mr. Genius Know-It-All to it kind of went from victimizer to victim. Not victim in a, sense of, oh, I'm the one being treated bad, but, she basically took all of his power. And so he felt powerless. And so basically the movie is about women who, the police can't help you, basically. It's simple stuff. The police can't help you. The man hasn't did anything. There's no proof of what you're saying he's done. It's he say, she say. And you have to take the power into your own hands and defend yourself. You can't always be the victim. You have to, grow. It's a movie of growth because she learned so much in so little time about men in general, because she basically dated two types of men. The man she thought she would have a life with, and then the man that she wanted to have a life with. And in both of those situations, neither turned out as she seemed, as she thought they would. So, in the end, there's no perfect guy.